With constant monitoring, sensors collect data, so I'll quickly deliver news about the Middle East war. The U.S. Institute for the Study of War assessed that Iran seems to be trying to demonstrate its control over the Strait in response to the U.S. attempt to secure freedom of commercial navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is attacking commercial ships and targeting oil infrastructure and civilian buildings in Oman to disrupt the U.S. effort to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and show its control over the surrounding area. The Iranian leadership clearly intends to maintain this control, as the Strait of Hormuz itself is a bargaining chip for Iran. Control over the strait can create upward pressure on global oil prices, which over time increases the economic and political burden on the United States. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump announced on May 3 that starting May 4, the U.S. Navy would escort commercial vessels through the strait. If this escort operation is carried out successfully, it would be a significant loss for Iran, as it would be like losing one of its key cards. Iran's control of the strait relies on convincing others its threats to commercial ships are effective. The key strategy is to force ships to pay Iran's fees and comply with the navigation rules set by Iran through this approach. Iranian hardliners immediately recognized the risk that, if the U.S. Navy's escort operation succeeded, Iran's ability to threaten commercial vessels and force cooperation could be weakened, and they responded militarily to this. Ebrahim Azizi, chairman of Iran's National Security and Foreign Policy Committee, said on May 3 that Iran would view U.S. intervention in a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz as a ceasefire violation. Later that day, the Iranian military attacked a UAE-linked oil tanker in the strait using 2 drones. On May 4th, Brigadier General Ali Abdullahi Ali Abadi threatened to attack U.S. military and commercial ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz without Iran's permission. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Navy also released a map claiming Iran controls the whole strait. Later, Revolutionary Guard-affiliated media reported the Navy fired warning shots at a U.S. warship on May 4th. Meanwhile, the U.S. Central Command announced on the same day that 2 U.S. Navy destroyers safely escorted 2 U.S.-flagged merchant ships through the strait. During this process, Iran reportedly launched cruise missiles and drones toward the ships and destroyers. Iran also sent 6 fast attack boats after the commercial vessels, but the U.S. military reportedly destroyed them all. Afterward, on May 4, Iran further escalated its attacks by targeting maritime and land targets in the UAE and Oman. Though the U.S. continued escorting ships despite the initial response, this action is seen as an attempt to deter U.S. allies from using the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE Ministry of Defense reported intercepting 3 of 4 Iranian cruise missiles on May 4, with the 4th landing in the sea. It was also reported that Iran launched drones toward unspecified targets in the Fujairah oil industrial zone in Fujairah, UAE, resulting in injuries to 3 Indian nationals. It was later reported that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard struck an HMM cargo ship 36 kilometers north of Dubai. It was also reported that an unidentified vessel located about 14 miles west of Mina Sakar, UAE, was attacked. The UAE Ministry of Defense later said its air defense intercepted Iranian projectiles at least 3 more times. Meanwhile, in the Tabat area of Buqa, Musandam Governorate, Oman, an Iranian projectile fell on a residential building, but it is unclear whether the building was an intentional target of the attack. However, since a Korean cargo ship was directly attacked, the South Korean government has moved all ships that were waiting near the Strait of Hormuz to Qatar. However, President Donald Trump stated on May 4th that Iran's recent attacks does not constitute a violation of the ceasefire. President Trump said there was no large-scale airstrike when asked if Iran violated the ceasefire, implying he does not see it as a violation. From the U.S. perspective, allowing Iran to exercise control over the Strait of Hormuz and, furthermore, a significant portion of international maritime trade goes against national interests. If Iran gains control over the strait, it could not only impose economic burdens on the United States and the global economy as a whole, but also secure a stronger bargaining position on key issues such as its nuclear program. Iran has recognized the value of the Strait of Hormuz and is now using it to advance its national interests. Iran has been considering various toll systems to charge certain parties when ships pass through. For example, on April 26, Iran proposed to open the strait but set the condition that ships passing through would have to pay a toll. Iran could also leverage its control of the strait to gain concessions from the United States in nuclear negotiations. DIFA Press, a media outlet under the Iranian Armed Forces General Staff, analyzed on May 2 that the conflict between the US and Iran is taking on the nature of a war of attrition, with both sides trying to impose economic costs on each other to extract concessions. However, the United States continues to try to prevent this. The U.S. Central Command's countermeasures are ongoing. On May 4 alone, the U.S. military reportedly ordered 50 ships to change course. Hezbollah continues its attacks against the Israeli military in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah stated that it carried out 8 attacks targeting Israeli forces in Lebanon since May 3. During this process, Hezbollah fighters reportedly injured 2 soldiers from the Israeli 1st Golani Brigade who were trying to cross the Litani River in Deir Syrian, southeastern Lebanon. Hezbollah also stated that it carried out an FPV drone attack targeting Israeli military equipment in the Biada area of southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, according to Israeli media, the Israeli military estimates that Hezbollah has deployed about 100 drone operators in small teams throughout southern Lebanon. These operators are known to typically use a tactic where they first launch reconnaissance FPV drones to search for and select targets, and then deploy FPV drones equipped with explosives to carry out attacks. In addition, the Israeli military assesses that many of the drones they use are fiber optic based FPV drones, which are not affected by jamming. The Israeli military is constantly improving its battlefield response methods. Israeli media reported on May 3 that the Israeli military has started deploying counter-drone systems in Lebanon. This system detects enemy drones with radar and launches net-equipped interceptor drones to neutralize the target drones. However, industry sources reported that tests about a year ago showed the system struggled to detect enemy drones effectively. The Ukrainian military has become more effective at downing Russian drones by using interceptor drones. Referring to these cases, the Israeli military is also expanding its countermeasures. In fact, there are reports that the Israeli military has purchased a large number of shotguns and plans to distribute them soon to units stationed in Lebanon. It seems that they are trying to intercept drones using shotguns. The Israeli military believes that this new countermeasure system could reduce Hezbollah's FPV drone attacks by up to 80%. The Institute for the Study of War found that quickly innovating is key to creating effective drone defenses, citing examples from the Ukraine war. This means that frontline units need to directly test prototypes, share them with defense companies, improve them to suit real combat environments, and then quickly redeploy them to the front lines, repeating this process. If more news comes up, I'll make and upload a video. This concludes the video. Thank you.